Pleased to be joined now by Silverbacks assistant coach Carter Cochrane following another tight one, another overtime between the Silverbacks and the Vernon Vipers. The first shootout of the season, unfortunately. You guys coming up on the short end, a 3-2 shootout loss to the Vipers. As always, just your thoughts on this game. Obviously, it was tight all the way through. What do you think of Saturday's performance?
Yeah, I thought it was good. We've been pushing hard here to kind of correct some of the areas of our game we haven't really been happy with over the last week or so, and obviously we've been having some success results-wise, but we haven't really liked the process that we've been getting those results, and definitely thought we made the tweaks to our game that we'd been talking about, and we're able to kind of get off to a good start, and obviously Rexy delays that a little bit, but it's a credit to our guys. After the glass breaks there, we're able to kind of stay focused and use the delay to kind of recharge a bit, and then Sully Mack gets us on the board there, which is an unbelievable goal by him. And he just kind of shows you every single game the different ways that he can beat you, and he's a man of different talents, and he's kind of figuring out how to use all those on a daily basis here, which is awesome for our group. And I think that one of the areas that we've stressed a lot of for our team is our second periods, and they've been kind of our kryptonite this year. And I mean, we really dominated, especially the last 10 minutes of the second period. We dictated the pace completely and generated a lot of chances, and obviously didn't get the goal we were looking for there. And but again, we battled back in the third, and what else other than an overtime versus Vernon?
Of course. Haven't really asked yet about, as you've mentioned, you guys score first a lot, every time except once you've scored first. Is there a reason for that, or maybe you can just talk a little bit about why it is that you guys are scoring first so often?
I don't know. I hope we continue the trend. I would like for us to score second more too. That would be good if we could start to build some 2-0 leads early, but I'm not going to get too greedy now. I've been really happy with our group's focus, and it's a credit to our leadership group, and to the group understanding that we need to be ready to go right from puck drop, and we're getting different schedules, different game times, and playing some 1 o'clock games, playing some 6 o'clock. We're going to see 7:30 this week. We've been able to show that doesn't really matter. We're just going to dictate the way that we want to play, and we've been able to do it right from the jump. And hopefully those results continue. It's always good when you get to score first in games. It's just we need to be able to do a little bit more with that lead. And I thought we did the things that we needed to do to be successful. And a 1-1 game after the first, and chance a team 9-2 or 7-2. I don't have my notes on me in the second period there, especially that last 10 minutes where we kind of felt like we were in their zone the entire time. It would be nice for us to be able to capitalize on that, but we've seen in the past here where we try to change our game to try to create more offense or maybe put a team away, and we might not do it the right way, and that's what allows us to open things up and let a team sneak back into a game or pull away from us, and then we're really clawed out of a hole. Unlike, we obviously were down 2-1 in the third there, but we were pretty happy with the performance overall.
Now, obviously, you've seen quite a bit of Vernon. This was head-to-head matchup number 5. There's been a couple 6-5 games. They've been crazy, and this one was obviously different. Can you just talk a little bit about kind of the evolution of you guys maybe feeling one another out? Because it feels like, especially in the overtime, things were very different than they were head-to-head earlier in the season. Maybe more learning from both sides, a little more low event. How has the head-to-head changed from the earlier games to now as you get more familiar with one another?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if the high-scoring games became a trend between our two teams. I think that last night's game is probably the closest. I think both coaches are pretty happy with the way the teams played. And again, neither team, I think, prides themselves or wants to be a 2-1, 1-0 type of team. But both teams have very good defensive details and habits, and there's a accountability to the structure in their game. And when you get two teams that play each other like that, there's going to be the chance for some low event hockey. Obviously, we've had some high scoring games, but one was just an offensive explosion by them in a period, and then a huge comeback by us in the third. There was a lot less mistakes just in general in the game, and I think that sometimes you can see the box score and think, oh, it must have been an exciting game if it was 6-5, but with teams are making a lot of mistakes and you're capitalizing on those mistakes, it can lead to a less entertaining game if it's just, you're just handing each other goals. But in a game like last night's where you have to earn everything, where there's tight checking, where there seems to be transition opportunities and breaks going each direction that don't lead to goals, it might not look like the most exciting game when you think of a 2-2 after 65 minutes score, but there was a lot of opportunities. There was back and forth hockey. There were some really big time performances from both sides. And, that's the type of hockey that we want to play, and we need to be able to win those games.
Yeah, big time performances though. Going off of that, got to start with Owen Tippett. Both goalies really were phenomenal yesterday. Just a word maybe on him with, as expected, a bounce back performance.
Yeah. Owen's an extremely competitive guy, and when you get a competitive, and then let's not get it wrong, he's a 19-year-old kid, right? Like he's and an ultra competitive one at that, and it can be a difficult thing to be able to channel that emotion in the right way and to be able to use that to your advantage. And I think that's number one trait we look for in our goalies is that competitiveness. And you'll take all the bad that comes along with that all the time because there's so much good. And you know that after a performance like Owen had in the last game where you knew that he was frustrated with himself, and you see the bounce back where he comes back, and it's almost a good message for our team too. Owen didn't change anything about the way he played because he didn't maybe not had his best game the one before. He came in, he was calm, cool, and collected, just read the play well, minimal movements, tracked the puck really well. And when you see that, it just shows that he's a very mature kid, and he's able to understand that you can be competitive, but you need to channel in the right way. And he was rock solid for us, did his job, and made all the saves he had to, and even a couple that maybe he shouldn't have made. And that's a credit to him bouncing back like that. Wish we could have done. He gave us a ton of help in the shootout there. It would have been nice to be able to win that one for him.
Just want to ask a little bit about the shootout, first of the season. Wasn't sure exactly. I had some guesses who you guys were going to go with, but it also went 7 shooters deep. So have you guys practiced shootouts at all, or decided? How did you decide who was going to shoot? Is it a discussion right away between you and Chatsy? How was it decided? Sansbury got an opportunity. Just take me through kind of that process.
Yeah, we don't do a lot of structured shootout type stuff in practice, but we do see there's opportunities for things like that where you get to see guys in that environment. And I think you're also looking for guys that maybe are riding a little bit of a hot streak or are having some success. And obviously Sully, Dak, and Tass had the 2 goals for us in the game. You're kind of trying to capitalize on that and give them an opportunity. Sansbury is a guy who has shown just over the course of 2 years that he's kind of got the skill and a shot that can make him successful in those situations. And I think that it's just kind of comes down to who you feel is going to give you the best opportunity to do it that night. It's such when you get down to it, you battle for 65 minutes for a game to end like that, and for those guys, it's frustrating. It's a tough way to lose, and it's sometimes even a tough way to win. Sometimes you want to really earn it a different way, and it doesn't really leave you feeling satisfied at the end of it. But, it's just a matter of kind of, you got to just see who's going. And, there's sometimes discussion to it. There's sometimes more, it's just, it's someone who's going to get the job done tonight.
Now, we've talked about, of course, Owen Tippet's performance. You brought up, obviously, that top line again, scoring twice. Is there anyone else who you want to highlight for strong performances? If you want, you can talk about that top line again. We have a lot. I don't know if there's anyone else, but who stood out yesterday positive?
I've talked a lot about Kieran Rashinsky and Hunter Sansbury, and they've obviously been our two veteran guys. They're leaders for us, and they've been able to really, I've been really able to lean on them. But the reality of this pod is that we need contributions from our entire back end, especially if they're playing every game. And I thought last week we might have showed a little bit of our youthfulness on the back end at times, but I thought that all 4D of our young D really responded positively. I challenged them earlier in the day, to kind of take that next step and, be all accountable to being able to roll all 60 in every situation. And, just to speak further to that, I think Will Levine is a guy who, he started great for us in the pod game 1, and then I think he just kind of struggled to find that consistency through the next few games, and but just continues to stick with it. Always out on the ice, looking to do extra, learn more, and just you never know if Vinger's having the best day or the worst day. He's just so even keel and level headed. He's great for our room that way. Guys, really, I think he's become a quiet leader for us in that way, and to see him just kind of respond with the game he had yesterday, where especially against a physical team like Vernon, he was beating their forecheck to pucks, and he was embracing contact and distributing the puck very efficiently. And it was really good to see him kind of get back to where he was at the beginning of the pod. And when we have 6D that can contribute to our game in so many different ways, and when they're all rolling like they were yesterday, it just makes the game a lot easier when they're all able to stay fresh and roll over one after another.
Lastly, your favorite question, I'm sure, the 3 keys to the next game. Again, quick turnover, 4 and 5, West Kelowna tonight. What are the keys to success?
Oh, they're pretty repetitive, Cantor. It's going to come down to our start. We need to have a good start, which we've been doing a good job of. But obviously we're playing on a back-to-back and now a 4 and 5 and about to be in a 6 and 8. So it's going to really come down to who can get out to an early lead, who can establish their style of play quicker. And that's been an emphasis for us the entire pod. And, again, our special teams is probably the difference between us getting 2 points in regulation or getting 1 point in a shootout loss. Because, again, we've been looking at our PK, and when you see the percentage, it's not good. But the reality of how some of those goals are going in, and there's some bad luck attached to that. There's some on breakdowns that we think are very fixable, and but then again, yesterday's goal was one that beats us through the cross seam, gets back up to their top, and in a sit time in a game where you really need to bear down and get a kill, that's something that we need to really focus on. And our power play obviously goes 0 for 2, theirs goes 1 for 2, and that's the difference. So that's going to be a huge thing. West Kelowna's got, I think, the best combined special teams percentage in our pod right now, so we know that we're a strong 5-on-5 team, and we just need to make sure we can get the job done on special teams as well. That was only 2 keys. So then let's say the third key will be our second period, considering the fact that our first periods have been great. If we can continue to build off our first period like we did yesterday and really have a second period that can kind of carry the mail and keep building momentum. I mean, with our group right now, we're just so focused on playing our style and playing our game. It's not really about changing it based on our opponent. It's why you're hearing a lot of repetitiveness in the things that I say. And I mean, the message is the same to our group too. We're trying to create something that's consistent and sustainable. And in order to do that, it has to be repetitive. We have to be predictable, and we have to be able to do things the same way over and over again, because that makes us easier to work together. And that's a goal of ours right now. And I think we're taking steps in the right direction to achieving that.
Perfect. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you.